Well, we finally got this part done. Now it's time to move on to the next step. Now, of course, I had to take the transom out and had to take out the splash well to do this. And I'm gonna tell you, when you go to replace this wood in the transom, yes, you can take the shortcuts and not remove this splash well, and you can put it in there, but I'm gonna tell you, 9 times out of 10, the time you waste trying to work through this slot, you would have saved that time by going ahead and removing this. So as you can see, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the videos in here of me removing this with a couple tips and tricks, the way to get the interior stuff out pretty easy. And what I done was I just essentially drilled the bolts out because I was gonna replace them anyway. So all these holes you see left in this transom, all those have got 1/4 inch washered bolts going through them. And here's what we got. And these are stainless steel washers, but they got a neoprene inner washer. Once you put these in, it seals the hole and seals the gap. Alright, so we'll treat this as if people's never done anything like this before. Most people haven't. So, first thing you want to do is make you a pattern of this interior piece that goes in here, this wood piece. Usually they range anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 inches thick is what this wood piece usually is. Most of the time, if you're replacing it, the one that's in there is done decayed to the point that you can't get it out in one piece. As you can see from the previous videos that I've made, I was able to get this one out in one piece. It was pretty nasty, but I was able to get it out in one piece. So I've got a great pattern. But also, if you look in those videos, you see me make a new pattern for the rear of this boat since I replaced all this aluminum. This entire skin's been replaced. If you'll look, there should be a link to this video popping up. Watch it if you're interested. And this thing here was Swiss cheese, and I was able to fix it back. And as you can see, it looks pretty good if I do say so myself. I didn't use no welder. I done everything using epoxy and using solid rivets. There's also a video coming out pretty soon that shows you exactly how to put these rivets in and how easy it really is. If I hadn't been making a video of it, I probably could have replaced all these rivets in about 30 minutes. So it really is a simple procedure. It's just a little bit, of a learning curve. Once you do it a couple times, it's not that hard. All right, let's get to the transom. So I actually made a wood template for the back of this boat to replace this skin. And all you do is you just pretty much put it up against it, mark the outer perimeter of this thing here, cut about 1/4 inch off of the width of it after you get it marked out, and most of the time it'll drop right in. Once it drops in, then you can mark this part of it and you're done. I mean, it's not really that hard to do. All right, I'm gonna be making mine out of PVC. I'm not using wood, I'm gonna be going back with PVC and aluminum. So I'm gonna have a layer of 3/4 PVC, a layer of 3/4 PVC. I will put them together and then I'll put a layer of aluminum on the inside. Now, the PVC and the wood, everything's pretty much the same. I'm going through the same procedures, doing everything. The only thing I won't have to do to the PVC is after it's completely put together, I won't have to epoxy or put resin over the entire thing to seal the wood up. This stuff's rot proof, waterproof, it floats, it's never going anywhere. But I'm still going to do the procedure of putting the resin in between the layers. That's one of the most important parts to a good transom. If you sand them smooth on the inside and you put those two pieces of wood together and you put resin in between them before you bond them together and then you screw them together from both sides, lay them on a good flat surface to cure, that thing is going to be as rigid as steel. So we're going to do the same thing to this. So essentially from now on, just pretend this, if you can't get a hold of this PVC material and you're going to use wood, pretty much all the procedures are the same. All right, we got the first one cut out. Now what we're gonna do is just, you can see I've already got the marks on there. I just used the new piece to make the pattern for the second piece. That way everything works out to be exactly the same. All right, we're gonna mark this one out the right way. All right, now we're going to get this one cut. Okay, the test fit's done. Everything fit perfect, so we're in great shape. The only thing I got to do is the fact that this leans a little bit and these are perfectly square. I got to cut just a little taper on the top of these, which that's no big deal. But right now we're ready. We'll go ahead and get this sanded up and get it put together. I know it's hard to tell in the video, but you can hear it versus what it was before. Here, this is very rough now, and that's what we're looking for. I'll go ahead and get the other one sanded, and then we'll go and put them together. Okay, what I use to do this is just simple fiberglass resin. If you'll look, there'll be a link down below to where you can get it, ordered online from Amazon. These are little 3.5 ounce cups I got. What I'll do is I'll just mix up about 3 ounces to see how far that goes, and if we need some more, we'll mix up some more. Alright, you see I'm covering it up. I'm rubbing it really good, really deep in the pores of this stuff. If it was wood, it would soak it up a lot more. This here is sort of laying on the top, so you have to kind of work it into the surface. You want to make sure everything is 100% covered and that it's worked in good. And you got no trash or anything in between them. Like that. Two more cups of this mixed up, so we'll go ahead and coat these up and then put them together. That's a wrap. We got all the screws in all the way around it. We flipped it over, put all the screws around the other side of it, so all we got to do now is wait for it to cure out. This right here is a pretty flat surface, but I'm going to go ahead and lay it on the floor and then stack some heavy equipment on top of it to keep it perfectly flat while the resin cures. Once it cures, this thing will be as solid as a rock. Okay, it's been 24 hours since I put the resin on it. Now the thing that resin does, now you can put 2 pieces of plywood together and not use resin, and as long as you screw it together, it's going to be strong. But when you take and put that resin in between the 2 layers of plywood before you put them together, I mean, it probably increases the strength by 3-fold. I mean, it's unreal. This is the PVC stuff right here. And like I say, I had resin on it. I had it sitting on the ground nice and flat with something heavy on top of it, which was the old Transom. And now you can see, normally this has quite a bit of flex to it, but picking my feet completely up off the floor and it's just barely flexing it. So this is plenty strong enough for the transom. But this is only 1.5 inches. My transom originally, the original transom here was 1 3/4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a piece of 1/4 inch aluminum. If I had a piece of this PVC 1/4 inch, I'd probably just resin another piece on it, but I'm gonna use a piece of this 1/4" aluminum, and I'm just gonna put 2 layers of it right here, and that'll make the interior part that faces the inside of the boat that's exposed to weather. That way this part that's exposed to weather will be solid aluminum. All right, here's the finished transom. The plate that I had was a little too narrow. I was just gonna put a single piece like across the top here, all the way across. But I decided, since I had 2 pieces of this is 1/4", and that's what I needed to make up the difference in the thickness of this transom. So what I've done was I just went ahead and put 2 pieces together and welded them together to make me one single piece. Now, like I say, you should be able to buy this piece, but since I already had this, it was a whole lot easier for me to just spend 10 minutes throwing a weld down it on both sides and grinding it down than it would be to finding a piece the right size. But there's the finished product. We'll go ahead and get this thing in there. I've already drilled the holes for everything. I had it put in there temporary. I've already drilled all the holes, and I like to drill the holes, then pull it back out, clean all the filings and the drilling pieces out from between the pieces. That way it don't get down inside there and get inside the pump once I put the new pumps in there. But this is ready to go. And you see, it's all one piece, 3/4, 3/4, piece of 1/4. That gives me my 1 3/4 I needed for my transom. Alright, it's in. It's snug. It's what I want. Fits perfectly. No flex in that one. Now, just go ahead and put our bolts through it and call it a day. Here's what we're using. Stainless steel hardware, and these are the neoprene washers I was talking about. And you'll notice they're shaped like a little bit of a cone shape to them. That way when you pull that thing down, it compresses that washer around these. And you can see it's a tight fit. And I always tell people it's better to screw it in than to shove it through the washer. That way it doesn't mess up the rubber. That way you're actually threading it through it. And when you pull it down, it's going to give you a watertight seal right here before it even goes through the transom. There we go. Done. All right, we got that done. Now let's do a test fit of the old trim piece. Wow. I'd say that's a perfect fit, wouldn't you? I don't think you're gonna get any better. Don't need these screws. But after looking at it, it's got a couple bad spots in it, so I'm probably going to go ahead and just make a new piece of trim for it too. But it is nice to know that I got it perfect. Let's see if I can get it back off now. There we go. Alright, we got all the screws and everything. Got the Teflon nuts on the inside to keep them from backing off. The only thing I don't have is I don't have these 3-inch screws here, and as soon as they come in, I'll go pick them up and put them in, and then I'm ready to put the splash well back in it, and we can call it a done deal. There's what your neoprene washer should look like. Once you pull this down, you should see them barely squeaking out around this thing here. You can see it barely squeaking out around that stainless steel washer. So that's going to give me a watertight seal. That thing being cupped like it is when it pulls in, it actually causes that neoprene washer to draw toward the middle, so it actually causes it to pinch that screw even tighter, and that gives you a nice seal. If you want to know where I got those, I'll put a link for them at the bottom. I ordered them off Amazon also. I'll put a link and you can order you some. Well, that's all there is to it. We've got the new transom wood part. It's not wood, this is PVC, but all the steps I used, you could do the same thing with wood and you'd be perfectly fine. Everything's bolted in. Luckily, it just dropped straight inside there. Had to do a little beating and banging just because of the way the old supports were. But once I got it beat and got it going in, hey, it's a nice tight fit. I don't mind beating on this part right here. It fit right in there. Everything bolted right up. You can see we got our neoprene washers and I got our screws through it. I mean, I can't ask for, really, not trying to toot my own horn, I can't ask for a better job. It turned out really, really nice. As soon as these screws here come in, I'll go ahead and put them in, but as you can see, it turned out real, real nice. If you didn't see the previous video where I actually had to make a new skin for this, just look for it. This is a transom skin replacement. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and ring that bell. That way you'll be notified the next project that I have. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. I appreciate you watching. I really do.